All right, what's up? We're here with Sam.
What's up?
Sam is the youngest airline pilot I know. How old are you?
21.
21 years old, already flying an Airbus. We're gonna find out how he did it and how you can do it too. All right, let's go flying. If you watch this channel, you know I'm a firm believer that we can make our aviation dreams come true. Whether it's buying a clapped out plane and transforming it, making aviation a part of your family life, or flying yourself into another country. That's probably why I connect with Sam, who's been determined to have a career in aviation from a young age. Today, he's going to share his secrets to success and loads of useful info about time building, salary amounts, airline hiring process, and tell us if he thinks even pilots in their 40s have a shot at the airlines, as we fly from Los Angeles to Santa Ynez.
Now, Wyoming ground, November 631 Bravo Whiskey. Like to get us set up for a flight following to Santa Ynez, India, Zulu Alpha 6500, where Papa Alpha 32 Slant Golf.
1 Bravo Whiskey, squawk 4717.
4717, 1 Bravo Whiskey. 21 years old, and you're an airline pilot. Well, I'm super curious to see how the heck you did that. We've also got in the back, we got Annie and James.
What's up? What's up? Thanks for taking me along.
631 Bravo Whiskey, welcome to go right down when I park inside the 5, runway 12, clear for takeoff.
Clear for takeoff on runway 12, right down with departure inside the 5 freeway. 631 Bravo Whiskey. Gauges are green and the airspeed's alive.
I first met Sam when he interviewed me and Swain Martin for a class project his freshman year of college.
And this plane feels fast.
Yeah, you're used to flying the 172, huh?
It's been fun watching him go for his dreams, and I was eager to learn his secrets to success.
1 Bravo Whiskey SoCal approach, Burbank Delta number 287 ident, and say after requesting the final.
2987 ident, 6500, 1 Bravo Whiskey.
Bravo Whiskey, we're to contact 1 west of Wyoming. If time is approved, resume navigation for Santa Ynez.
Oh, nav Santa Ynez, 1 Bravo Whiskey. All right, cool. We're on our way.
Hey, I just want to jump in here and let you guys know I wasn't able to make it to AirVenture this year, but hope to get there next year. One of my favorite things to do at AirVenture is check out all the warbirds, which is why I'm excited to share the sponsor of this video with you, War Thunder. You'll love this free-to-play, large-scale, multiplayer action game if you've ever dreamed about flying vintage or modern warbirds. War Thunder really captures the feeling and scale of fierce military battles, and it's not just planes. You can choose from a huge variety of iconic and lesser-known prototype machines from the mid-20th century to the present. I'm talking tanks, planes, helicopters, and even ships, and they're highly customizable and upgradable too. There's so many cool military technologies in the game for aviation nerds like us. Guided missiles, active protection systems, smoke screens, night vision devices, along with reconnaissance and strike drones, and even a nuclear strike that can flatten the entire map. The new Seek and Destroy update features dozens of improvements based on community requests in aviation from the Benelux, including the famous Dutch Fokker G1A aircraft. Modern aircraft have new missiles with active radar homing, and there are new maps for intense naval and aerial battles, Mysterious Valley and Bering Sea. Download War Thunder for free by using the link in the description. All new players and those who haven't played War Thunder for half a year or more will receive some special bonuses. Rentals for the P-40E1 aircraft and M4 tank for a week, along with free unique skins for them, a special decorator Eagle of Valor, 100,000 Silver Lions, 3 premium vehicles for free, a week of premium account, and even more gifts. Click the link in the description.
You're a very young pilot. Were you always into aviation?
What sparked the interest, I would say, is my parents used to take me to the park on the corner of, the Santa Monica Airport? The park right on the corner there?
Yeah.
We would go to the park and ride our bikes around the track, and I would just disappear for a little bit and be peering through that chain link fence, watching those Cessnas just taxi by.
Were you told your parents, I think I want to learn how to fly? When was that?
Yeah, in high school, we started reaching out to other people who kind of knew the industry. It's hard to get into if you don't know what you're doing. So we reached out to people who knew, and they said, call these flight schools up at Van Nuys and see what they can do. And that day, I was up on an intro flight. Day one, I caught the bug.
Oh, wow. So how old were you then?
15.
And did you know in that moment, you could do it as a career, or did you think that's what you wanted to do as a career, or were you just sort of I'm going to see where this goes?
I knew it's what I wanted to do. I didn't really realize it was possible until I said, hey, you know what? I can turn all of this that I have saved up for college, I can turn that also towards flight training by getting a degree in aviation, as well as networking within the industry. That's kind of when it clicked that, hey, I can do this.
Did you weigh the options of going through just getting all your ratings separately, or deciding to go to like a 4-year university? Tell me about that process, because you got some ratings before you went to university, right?
So yeah, I got my private pilot's license here at Ynez before I went to UND. And when it came down to weighing that, it was more so, hey, I can spend this money on getting all of my licenses in addition to getting a degree in something else, or I can put that into the aviation degree as well, kind of combine that, and that's what I ended up doing.
What would your advice be to somebody, like, let's compare getting all the ratings versus going to like a university and getting some kind of degree in aviation?
Yeah.
There, like, what are the advantages of the route that you took?
I would say the biggest thing for doing it my way is the networking that you have within the university. I was able to get the job that I have just based on the pathway and university connections that they have. But there are people in my class who, they went to a different school, got a bachelor's in something else, so that they do have a fallback plan. And went to ATP and got all their licenses in 7 months.
Okay.
There's advantages to both.
Right. Yeah, that's one thing I always think about is if you've got all your eggs in the basket of like, I'm going to be an airline pilot, you've got to pass that first class medical all the time, and at any moment something could happen, and then what are you going to do?
Yeah, that's always a consideration. In fact, looking back on it, that may have been a better decision. But either way, there's always fallbacks that you can do. I've been a musician since a young age playing trombone, so I could always try to go back into music, or I could go into airport operations and try to keep aviation still as a part of it. And if that means going back to school, that means going back to school.
A lot of people don't say music is going to be their fallback. It sounds kind of funny. Yeah, music is my fallback. But that's a really good point. So when you started UND, I guess, so you were about 18. And you had already had just private pilot?
Just my private.
You go to UND, you've got about 100 hours. What is the program like there? What's the focus? Is there like certain major?
Yeah, so I majored in commercial aviation, which is essentially fast track to airline.
How far does it go in the ratings?
Yeah, so it depends on your major. My major was from private all the way through CFII.
So you did private, instrument, multi?
Private instrument, commercial, then commercial multi add-on, and then CFII.
The ATP rating is separate. Is it
That's
after? So you graduated as a CFII.
Graduated as a CFII, and then I did the MEI that summer after.
How many hours do people come out of there with typically?
Most graduate with about 250 hours, and then they time build the rest.
So at 250 hours, you can be a CFII with the multi and everything. Wow.
61 Bravo Whiskey, contact 1 to approach 124.7 today.
124.7, thanks, 1 Bravo Whiskey. Go approach, November 631 Bravo Whiskey, level 6,500.
1 Bravo Whiskey, go approach, go altimeter 2986.
2986, 1 Bravo Whiskey. Yeah, a lot of people will become a CFI to time build. So what is the strategy? Like after you go through this program, UND, you got 250 hours, you're a CFII, you got all these ratings, then what?
Yeah, so a lot of students stick around to instruct at the university. You always have the opportunity to apply and teach there. So that's what I ended up doing. But other students, they could find a different flight instructor job, or some try to go the Part 135 immediately out of college. I know with the industry changing, that's a little harder, but I was getting about 50 to 70 hours a month, so I could have gone a little bit harder, but I didn't need to. I stuck around for about 11 months just flight instructor.
Can you tell me a little bit about the pathway and like how this type of program helps you connect with airlines and get a job early on?
Yeah, so the way that it worked for me, obviously the industry changes every single day. So it's really hard to predict where the pathways are going to be versus where they have been. But for my specific case, my airline offered a pathway or a partnership with UND that said, hey guys, because you went to UND and have the 1,000-hour restricted ATP, and we know that that's a high quality of training, we'll offer you a separate application and a separate path straight into one of our new hire classes. And so I started as a cadet with my airline, where I interviewed, I joined the pathway, which is you get partnered up with a mentor. They do logbook reviews for you, make sure that you're all set and you'll be a good addition to a new hire class.
Okay.
Then once you have your hours, you just apply for the exit interview, and they give you an exit from the pathway into a new hire class.
Okay.
So that's just how it worked for me.
So once you're in the pathway, it doesn't guarantee that you're going to be working for that airline, right? You still have to go through that process.
Right. You still have to maintain in good standing with the university and the airline. For me personally, I became a cadet in the pathway already basically with my hours. So the day that I joined the pathway is the day that they scheduled my exit interview. So I was in the pathway for a very short amount of time.
Okay.
But that's not how it's designed to be.
When you entered the pathway, how many hours did you have?
950.
950. And what's the requirement?
I think for us it's just instrument rating and attend the university.
And then for the exit, is there an hour requirement for that part, or?
You just have to have your hours. So for the restricted ATP, it's just 1,000 hours, be 21 years old, make sure you have, the nighttime, the instrument time. Make sure you meet all of that, okay, and I'll get you scheduled.
So while you're in the pathway, you're still like building time. And then do they help you build time, or you're just doing that on your own?
It's on your own. That's still flight instructing, or for me personally, I knew that the window was getting close to closing. Like we said, it changes every day. So I just rented a plane. I borrowed my buddy's plane for the last 50 hours and flew around SoCal.
Just go up, come down 50 hours later. In mid-air refueling.
So assuming you pass the exit interview for my airline, they put you in a class state. And coming out of the CFI lifestyle, for your initial ATP now, you have to do a course called ATP CTP. And so my company sponsored that for me. The only agreement is I have to be there for 6 months, which that's not a problem at all. I plan to be there for a while. And then after CTP, you go straight to new hire.
So basically, like, you're hired, we're going to sponsor you through this course that you have to earn this, and then you do the check ride.
The way my program worked was 4 weeks of in-doc, and then we had just a bunch of flat panel trainers, just touch screens to practice flow checks and procedures,
okay,
and then into the full motion sims.
And is that all in one specific aircraft, which that's a Airbus 320?
Yeah, so I just got my ATP with the type rating on the Airbus.
Do you have a restricted ATP or yeah, right?
Yeah, so the traditional ATP, you need 1,500 hours and be 23 years old. So by going to UND with the commercial aviation major, I qualified at 1,000 hours of flight time and 21 years old. Military, I believe they can get in at 750, and the airport management degree at UND I think is 1,250. So there's different degrees of it.
Are there like lesser privileges?
Yeah, there's lesser privileges. For the most part right now I'm going to be an FO for a while anyways, but I would have to be unrestricted to really move on anywhere worth going.
Let me just switch tanks here. I don't want to forget to do that.
By the way, if you're a student pilot of any level, I highly recommend the Finer Points Ground School. It's an incredible app that will not only get you to pass the written and the check ride, but help make you the best pilot you can be.
I went to USC Film School, and we learned tons about film, the history of film, and like how to approach the craft and art of filmmaking. But one of the most valuable things that I got out of that film school was the network of the people that I met there, who I still work with to this day. It seems like for aviation, it's like getting out there and talking to everybody is really useful. Like when we were touring your campus, like, dude, Sam knew like everybody. He was like, "Hey, how's it going? How's it going?" Like the dean, he's like, "Hey, dean," like whatever. It was awesome. I mean, that can only has that benefited you?
Absolutely, yeah. I don't always look at it from a networking perspective because I am just a social person. I talk to everyone on the trails, just anywhere I go. But it definitely does help when they're also a pilot. I can say, "Hey, can I get your number? Let's stay in touch." And if I have questions, I'll reach out. Or if you have questions, reach out. I have people DMing me on Instagram every now and then, or shooting me texts. I still keep in touch with my old students too. They still ask me questions. I'm more than happy to write a letter of recommendation or answer anything that they've got going on. The biggest thing is just the career fairs are on campus. You go, you talk to people, you make those connections, so that sometime down the road, you reach out and say, "Hey, just updating you. I just got my CFI, moving on to this port. What's next? Do you have any tips for me?" Maintain those connections with everybody, because you never know, who's going to be your boss one day, right? One of my students might be my boss one day. You never know.
Well, what about for like people who are watching this video? Should they contact you on Instagram? Will you?
Absolutely.
Okay. Do you have questions for Sam beyond the scope of this video? Definitely hit him up on his Instagram. James is really good about networking too, man. You talk to everybody. He's always going on rides on like different airplanes.
Yeah,
I
well,
rode in a Gulfstream. I rode in a Pilatus.
or Vision Jet.
Vision Jet.
Hey,
Yeah.
that's cool.
Yeah, well, this whole business is networking, and it's all about who you know, especially in like the private sectors.
Oh yeah.
In the airlines, it's more routine, I guess, but there's those channels that you have to go through. But
Yeah.
there's brand new commercial pilots that are getting right seat time on Gulfstreams just because of who they know. They're hanging out in the right place in the right time. And you never know if you don't try.
It just means that like you have to get outside of your comfort zone sometimes and like get out there and network. Like makes you a better person anyway and gives you some personal growth. So I don't know, it's a good lesson for everybody, for me especially, that I had to learn over like decades long that you've already mastered. So I'm sure a lot of people will want to know like what the economics are of this new hire. Like what can people expect as far as the income once they get hired on an airline like that? And I know that your airline is kind of like a budget airline, and there's some advantages to that and maybe some disadvantages as well. But so what is sort of typical?
Yeah, so I guess the first thing to note is that that's always going to change based on the industry, based on the contract, which unions fight for you. For me, I'm making about double what I was as a CFI as a first-year FO. That's pretty on the low end for first year. Typically, it's 3 to 4 times. Right now I'm making about $60 an hour. Industry standard is about 100 now.
Okay.
It'll go up.
Are you guaranteed a certain amount of hours per month, or how does that work?
Yeah, that's pretty standard for the industry. Is you get a minimum monthly guarantee if you're on reserve or online. I get paid about 70 to 72 hours per month, regardless of how much they use me. And then if I fly more than that, then I get paid on top.
They cap your hours?
The FAA does. I can't fly more than 100 hours a month, basically, or 1,000 hours a year.
What is like the age range for that?
It very much depends on, again, what the industry is doing. In previous years, it's been extremely unheard of to have CFIs coming straight from college to airlines where, people my age, if you told me 2 years ago that I'd be here, I'd probably laugh in your face. I wouldn't believe you at all. In my specific class, we had people from 21 to, 50s.
Pretty old people going in to start flying for an airline. What do you think if somebody's like 40 years old and they go, you know what, I think I want to fly airplanes for a living?
Yeah.
Do you think they have a shot at the airlines?
Oh, yeah, it's absolutely doable.
Okay. Not that I'm thinking about doing that or anything, but
it's never too late.
I've already got a job, a career going. Although making a hobby into your job, maybe not so great. I've already done that once.
It only takes some magic out.
It does take a little magic out. If you had like one piece of advice for somebody who is a young person or any age person that wants to become an airline pilot, what would you say to them?
I would say just go do it. A lot of people worry so much about, well, what if this and what if that? You never know unless you go do it. You go try. Start with that intro lesson. Make it happen. The industry is going to cycle. There's going to be highs. There's going to be lows. I was really lucky to get in when I did. If I waited a couple more months, it would have been a completely different industry, but I'm still would have been very happy with where I am. So step one is just go make it happen. No excuses. If you want to do it, go do it.
Dude, what I do tell people in aviation, they're like, oh, I can't because of this, because of that. If you find the right people to connect with, like just as a private pilot, like there's airplane partnerships, there's flying clubs, like there's tons of ways to get into aviation, or gliders that are affordable if you don't have a really high income, that you can still be flying and still be partaking in aviation one way or another, make it part of your life.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm definitely a firm believer of like, hey, where there's a will, there's a way.
Absolutely.
San Ynez traffic, November 631 Bravo Whiskey's turn of final left traffic, runway 26, San Ynez.
Tim, thank you so much. I learned a lot, but yeah, thanks, man. It's always fun flying with you.
Anytime, man.